Welcome to the Power Lunch Podcast, your midday dose of boldness, brilliance, and a little bit of badassery. I'm Amy Souza, here with my powerhouse co-hosts, Tracie Munce and Lisa Carmichael, and we're coming in hot to shake things up. Each week, we dish out bite-sized, high-impact conversations on business, health, purpose, wealth, and the wild, beautiful chaos in between. Whether you're building your dream, rebooting your story, or just catching your breath, this is your space to get grounded, inspired, and reignited. This isn't just another podcast, it's your power move. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Power Lunch Podcast, where we go beyond surface success and talk about what's actually driving the way we build, lead, and live. Today's conversation is not about getting richer. It's about getting honest. Because when we hear words like profitability and legacy, most of us immediately think more money, more visibility, college paid for, retirement secure. But what if that's just the first answer? What if the real drivers underneath our financial decisions are fear, ego, safety, old money scripts we inherited without even realizing it? Today, we're joined by Sheila Cole, certified financial educator through the University of Minnesota, accountant with over 2 decades of experience, and founder of Equatorium, a Minneapolis-based financial education and accounting firm rooted in real-world skills and honest money conversations. Her business tagline is Discover Your Equity, and she challenges the hype, the formulas, and the noise around money. She doesn't treat profit as personality test or moral scorecard. She treats it as a tool. And Sheila asks a powerful question, not how much can I make, but at what cost? Sheila, we're so glad you're here. Let's start with that right there. At what cost?
So the biggest thing that I hear from people are all of those very surface level. And it's primarily, I want to leave behind generational wealth for my family. And that's wonderful. I also have to ask at what cost is how much time are you putting into your business and then missing with that family? If you're not going to nurture those relationships, what good is that money really going to do them in the end? Because it's not going to be my grandmother left me this amount of money and she was so wonderful. I miss her more than having the money. Are you sacrificing your health? And at that, which health? Is it your spiritual health, your physical health, your mental health? You need to look at, are you also sacrificing your integrity? Because if your profitability depends on exploiting your staff, your vendors, your community, that's not just a numbers problem, that's now a values problem. So I really try to look and then try to explain that your balance sheet and your P&L are one kind of legacy, but your nervous system is another entirely.
For sure. We hear so often, and I don't know if it's truth, but we hear it, that, the billionaires out there that are living miserable lives. They have the money. They have all the money in the world, but they have no family. They have broken families. They have, their life is not fulfilled. So fulfillment doesn't come from the money. The money helps with the fulfillment of life.
Yeah, that's actually very accurate. So one of the most infamous studies was done back in 2010 by Princeton University. And they found that, quote, their day-to-day emotional well-being increased with income, but plateaued at roughly beyond $75,000 annual salary. Now, what I found interesting about this is that people quoted this for well over a decade. And so another study was done back in 23 from the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School. Now, what's interesting is that it complicates the finding. It says that that's kind of sort of true. It's more of a yes and. So if you're already a generally happy person, Yeah, at $75,000, anything beyond that, then no, you're not going to get any happier. You're already generally happy. What this study found is that your happiness will continue to increase up to about 100,000 if you're not a generally happy person. And that's also where I come to my clients, and you have to be very real with yourself. Are you actually a genuinely happy person or not? And that's where mental health questions come in. Those old money stories. If you grew up in poverty and you're always struggling and fighting to make ends meet, s- you're probably not a generally happy person. So, getting to that really honest place with yourself and saying, hey, I'm Sheila. No, I'm not a generally happy person. I'm not. A lot of people would think that. But I have bipolar, I'm ADHD, I have other things that are going on. And you need to sit there and truly ask yourself and be honest about it. You can't just say, well, once I hit this amount of money annually, I'm going to be happy. It doesn't work that way. And studies keep showing this over and over and over. And I think that's very important to listen to the science behind those.
I like how you call it a numbers problem. And when I heard you talk about the studies, I immediately went to thinking of plateaus. Like we hit different plateaus in life and then we want more. And do you see people hitting a plateau and then not being able to grow? Like they're at that dollar amount, that $75,000 amount. They don't even realize that they're there.
Yeah, so plateaus can be kind of difficult to determine when it's a plateau versus have you actually burnt out as a person,
Oh, God.
not just as a business owner, but as a person. And how long has this financial plateau been going on? And have you actually tried changing anything within your business? What did you try changing? What have you tried changing outside of your life? Because I personally have found that the more I don't wanna necessarily say social that I am, but definitely the more often I leave the house, leave the office if you have an office, I home office, but the more often you get out into the world, you can get inspired by the world, by your community
For
to
sure.
start taking action and action in different ways than you ever thought perhaps you would go. So that's the cool part about my business strategy is that I sit down and I really listen to our clients and help them make those determinations. I'm one of those people who I don't want to make decisions for you. I'm not going to say, you must do this. I don't know what's best for you. You know what's best for you. Even if it's the wrong decision, at least you tried a decision. You made a step forward.
Sheila, then how do you help them rewrite that money script that they have?
A lot of it actually comes down to affirmations, which I know sounds silly. But again, affirmation, yes. So, and science has also proven that affirmations help, no matter how silly they sound, they actually help more if you can say the affirmations to yourself in a mirror. You need to look yourself in the eye and tell yourself that I am everything, insert anything here that you want to be or that you don't believe that you are. If you are making $75,000 a year, you're living paycheck to paycheck still, tell yourself, I am abundant. I am financially stable. I am successful. I meet people where they are. I fix this problem. We solve these things that are unsolvable otherwise.
How did this start for you? Because I love everything you're saying. I mean, both Lisa and I are deep into personal development. How did this start for you? Where did you say something's got to change here?
Oh my goodness. In my personal life, I had always been a fat child, and I mean morbidly obese. Um, and no matter how hard I cracked down, I simply could not lose weight, and I eventually ended up having gastric bypass. My highest weight was 325.2, and
Point two.
point two. Oh, I know the decimals.
You are a numbers person, aren't you?
Am. I pretty much am. And even gastric bypass didn't get me down to a healthy weight. So eventually I ended up having a medical DNA test run to find out that I had DNA markers that will not allow me to stay at a healthy weight. I will always have to have help. And so they put me on a GLP-1, and I'm finally, for the first time, at a normal weight. So having to go through this journey for, 4 decades of trying and trying and trying and realizing that there is this underlying issue that I didn't know about, that someone else would have to tell me about and bring that to light. That's when, and I had also started getting these ideas as well because I was working nonprofit at the time. So many things occur in our lives that are subconscious or totally unconscious. And you can't work through those things by yourself. You do need help. Somebody else can help you work through those things. And so getting on this path of in my professional life, then seeing why people are in poverty. Where are these systemic issues coming from? What can, if anything, be done about them? And helping all of my different organizations, because at the time I was supporting 9 different organizations, help them achieve better goals while using their finances and helping them cut back on maybe unnecessary expenses or things like that in order to help them also bring in potentially more revenue. So it's kind of just evolved over my lifetime, where it started with a very personal story for me and then ended up developing into this aspect of including that into the world of finance, and then realizing that so many of the clients that my organizations were supporting, they had never grown up knowing how to handle money to begin with, not to mention the fact that they're, quote, unskilled labor because maybe they didn't finish high school or let alone go to college. If you don't know how to work a budget, you're screwed no matter what, right? So coming to that realization that, according to the studies, it's about 50% of Americans are financially illiterate. And I hate that word.
50%?
50%.
Surprised it's not higher.
And quite honestly, I think that the tests are probably skewed because a lot of times when you take a financial literacy test, it's multiple choice. You still have a 25% chance of getting an answer right. So let's say 50% of the questions and then you guess on the other 50%, you can still come out at a 75% rating, give or take, right? That doesn't mean you're financially illiterate. It's you guessed.
Right. Sheila, I would love if you gave Glass Ceiling a financial literacy test that we could share in the community.
Oh, certainly.
Wouldn't that be cool?
That would
This be
because I'm sitting here going, first off, everything you just said is, systemically the problem with where we're at in this world. I was actually, we were talking to somebody and they were talking about, in school, we don't learn about finances. And I was like, I remember learning how to write a check, right? And then that's like really
Well, kids start know how to do that. Oh, adult learn.
but also there wasn't, the financial savings. That my parents, they worked really hard. We went on vacations, but there was nothing really talked about savings accounts where we put our money after we, doing chores and you work, you put money into savings, blah, blah, blah. So when who would be the people that come to you? Because they would want to, why would they come? A lot of people end up coming to me uh as business owners just so they can stabilize or grow, which I get. And that's fantastic. Individuals come to me primarily when they are in so much debt that they can't breathe. And that's very, very difficult. Um, and I have various templates, obviously, that I help people work through. And the problem is when you have so much personal debt or even business debt, you're not just trying to breathe, you're trying to improve credit scores and all of these other things, right? And so sometimes you actually have to decide on a give and take, which bill gets paid, which bill doesn't. My templates actually help you break down even further. It's not just here's how much I owe, here's how much interest I'm paying by a percentage rate. It goes way more in depth than that, because if you have to start picking and choosing which bills to pay, and that includes your utilities, okay, if you're always going to end up negative every month, let's at least have you go a little bit less negative. So look at which late fee is going to cost you the least amount of money. That's something else that is never discussed. And my biggest roadblock with my business is what you said. Money is not discussed very often at all. I will guarantee you that every woman listening to this podcast has no problem going in, getting naked, spreading their legs, and letting an OBGYN give them a pap smear once a year. How well do you know that person? You don't know that person.
Right.
You know that they're degreed, you know they're qualified, but you still let them do it because you've been told it's healthy. What are the odds, me being as degreed as I am with all of my certifications, would you open your banking app to me? Absolutely not. It's way too intimate. It is more intimate than your own private body, because I will see everything, every aspect of your being. I will be able to see, likely, if you're potentially cheating on your spouse. Nobody wants that out there. Do you have an addiction? Is it gambling? Is it alcohol? Is it drugs?
Is it shopping?
Right, exactly. So people don't ask for the help because they also don't want to take that mirror to themselves. And that's where, when people do come to me, it is a serious conversation. However, as Lisa knows, I joke a lot. I'm very funny. I swear a lot. I'm very, very human. And I also feel that that's a necessary part in my journey to helping any of my clients. And I think that everyone should take a lesson from this, is that if you can't laugh at a situation, even in the smallest, that's going to cause you even more stress.
That's right. I once did this. Uh, I think it was the New York Times had 36 questions to fall in love. It's really great. This if you're around a Valentine's Day when you're listening to this, but these 36 questions, one of the questions, and it was I was in this community and I got this question, and it was, "What is so serious that you can't laugh about it?" And I thought, everything, like, prior to that, everything was so serious. Everything was serious. I was a very serious person, but it was because I had all this stress on me. And the more we can be light, even about the serious things, the more we can find a silver lining, or this isn't as bad as I'm making it out to be. And sometimes it's nice to have somebody like you be that source of humor, or that source of shock and awe. So that way, then that serious, because it's serious to us, right? Like, my bank account is serious to me. When it's low, it becomes a very serious issue. But the reality is everything always works out. And when you can find lightness in it, at least a little bit, isn't it funny that I shop at Lunds and I should be shopping at, like, a discount store, right? Like, those kind of things. I love that. I love that. And this conversation has been absolutely brilliant. I feel like it feels abrupt, even like getting to a place where we have to end this conversation. Our time is come to an end. But I have one question, and this question too.
Oh, you go do your question, and I also have a question, and I want to give Sheila also an opportunity to share anything that she didn't get a chance to offer. So Tracie, go first.
what should women, business owners specifically, be thinking about differently today, about, profit as a tool or about their legacy? You talk a lot about, the mindset of things. What should we be thinking about differently?
So I would say that's kind of a twofold answer. Okay, so first of all, let's use the example I want to leave generational wealth. Okay, that is fantastic. I want you to look at your family. Are they responsible enough for that? Hmm. Is your kid going to sit on his ass and play video games for the rest of his life because he doesn't want to go to college and do anything if you just gave him millions of dollars? What's the reality of that if you leave generational wealth? If you leave college funds, not everybody wants or needs to go to college. Especially, I mean, there are plenty of people out there who are millionaires and they didn't even graduate high school. I know several of them actually. So look at the reality of what your goal is within your family, if that is what you're looking to do. I also would challenge you to make two buckets of goals. So you're going to have your atypical, I want to pay off debt or hit X revenue or, fund my retirement, whatever, right? The other goals that you need to have are I want to be able to sleep through the night. I want to, be able to have a money conversation with my partner and not have it blow up. You know, I want to be able to make sure that I'm paying myself enough time so that I can show up as my best self.
Wow. You and I are gonna be really good friends. Mm. This is very much my lane. I love the I love that. Legacy isn't about money, but it's about freedoms. So what type of freedoms are you offering to your children coming up? And also I love this when we talk about financial legacy is that who are we striving so hard to leave financial legacy for, and what are they going to do with it? And are we preparing them for the financial legacy? Are we preparing them today? So I love that.
We're hearing more and more stories of that happening.
Yeah.
Where the legacy, the money is left and the children don't know what to do with it or don't know how to use it properly.
Yeah.
Well,
Very true.
what, any last comments, things that you came into this room thinking, I really want every woman to know this?
I would say that if you're going to ignore the fear, the shame, the doubt, those are the things that are going to end up running your financial life. Your bank account, your P&L, tells you what has happened, but your money stories and all of those emotions, that is what's going to tell you why you keep repeating those things. So make sure that you take some time and, just every once in a while, even, and ask yourself those five whys. And it's literally just why. Why do I want more money for my business? And you answer that. And then you ask yourself again, why is this important to me? And you answer that again. You ask why. And you just keep digging deeper and deeper and deeper until you get to the middle of that onion to find out what is your core value. And that core value, I believe, is where every business needs to start.
God.
We
Thank
could
you.
go on.
You're welcome.
Cover your equity. So why would people want to reach out to you? And how can you serve this community?
So
How can we serve you?
yeah, so a lot of so many people have been on this whole equality, conversation. All humans are created equal. We're not. We're not. I don't believe that. That is 0% true. What an 18-year-old perfectly healthy kid needs is not the same thing as what a 70-year-old cancer patient needs. We are not equal. We are not created equal. That is just a fact. I believe in equity. Equity is everyone should get what they need as an individual. Now, Is that an individual as a you, or is that an individual as you, the business owner, or the business itself? That's where we start pulling those things apart. And I know that I don't have the most memorable business name, so it's not the greatest to try to Google me. So instead what I did is I bought a few domains that are memorable.
I noticed.
Yes, we'll put them in the show notes.
We'll put them in the show notes.
I love this. Did you see them? I did.
Yeah.
Yes, I couldn't believe they were available.
I love that. Go to the show notes. This one, I'm going to absolutely recommend that everybody goes to the show notes and goes to one of your websites, because well done. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's slightly
Being
being here.
Thank you so much.
You were part of the mastermind.
I was. Yeah.
So Glass Ceiling Foundation has a mastermind. We have our third one coming up. So we started it in 2025. You were part of the second one,
I believe.
yeah. So tell me
Yeah.
just briefly, because I'm not part of the masterminds. Why did you join the mastermind, and what benefit do you think you walked away from? What value?
I like to always be part of a mastermind once a year. Every mastermind, regardless of who it's hosted by, everyone is different. The one thing that is consistent through all of them is your ability to network with different business owners and then get the perspectives of those owners. And that is really where I find the most help in everything, because those business owners challenge me. I'm still human. I still just think like me, and I don't necessarily ask me questions about things I wouldn't think about.
That's right.
So I highly recommend that if you are a business owner, take at least one mastermind every single year, regardless of who it's through, just because bouncing ideas and thoughts and whatnot against other business owners, having those dialogues is so incredibly important. That is what's going to help you grow. That is what is also going to help you maintain and potentially keep you from going backwards.
We loved having you in the mastermind group. But you made a definite huge impact on the group, on that cohort. Thank you again so much.
Let's go.
Thank you so much for joining us for today's episode. If something we shared sparked a new idea, gave you a fresh perspective, or simply made you feel seen, we'd love for you to pass it on. Share this episode with a friend, a colleague, or a fellow powerhouse woman who's walking her own journey. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. Until next time, keep showing up, keep rising, and remember, there's no ceiling you can't break through.